and giving us an insight into Lavita and what they're doing and what's coming up. Give it up for Ali.
Great to see everyone. So I remember last year, actually, I was planning to attend EuroCon, and there was last minute logistics challenge I couldn't join. So first time that I'm here at EuroCon on the stage, and just a fantastic, fantastic environment. Perhaps a little more, I would say, cozier than ThedaCon last year, but actually the environment and the atmosphere is fantastic, and the camaraderie that's being built around the ThedaCon, around the hackathon, and of course, today and tomorrow is just fantastic. So super excited to tell you about what we've been doing on Lavita, all the updates. Hats up to the third place winners for their fantastic demo. It was great. So how many actually have you guys have heard about Lavita before, whether you've been in Theta or not? Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. The majority of the room. So you probably know, I go through maybe a little short introduction for a few that may have not heard Lavita, or the ones that are, oh great, thank you, that are online and are seeing it for the first time. So as you know, Lavita is essentially a health data platform with focus on data privacy. So there has been almost countless incidents of data breaches, incidents that has affected millions of users worldwide, people that have trusted their data, especially health data, which is very important, personal, and sensitive. And these data breaches has caused countless challenges for individuals. Now, beyond that, of course, what has been the trend and the momentum in the last few years is the use of generative AI and what it can do in terms of helping individuals to understand their information, to be able to interpret, if you have taken a lab test recently, if you have a diagnosis, if you want to learn more about a condition of yourself or for your loved ones and friends, or generally understand more about some health topic. So bringing this all together, and of course, giving the ownership and the control of the data to the individuals is why we started Lavita. So all these three pillars is the core of Lavita. As mentioned, so, if you have experience with perhaps MyChart, which is one of the most used health applications in US, it's very hard to access, it's very hard to interpret the data. You may see something there, you don't know what it means, you have to contact your doctor, you have to wait for them to respond. You may use one of these chatbots like ChatGPT or some other ones, but then you'd be completely sacrificing your privacy, giving all of your information away. You don't know who else is going to use it, if it's going to be data breach. So all of these, that makes it very challenging and very concerning for individuals when it comes to their health data. So what Lavita has done is essentially providing a unique platform, both as a mobile app and a web platform, all integrated, that provides a secure AI companion, like essentially a buddy, not a doctor, but as somebody that's very knowledgeable about health and can use your context in terms of understanding your data, understanding your information, all the while ensuring the privacy. So everything that you use in Lavita app is completely controlled by the user. Lavita itself, as a company, does not have access to the information. It's fully encrypted end-to-end and is only used by and accessed by the users. So in this journey, what we're creating is essentially a full circle of data and intelligence. So users, I think this one does have a laser, right? Pointer. So the users can use their electronic health records. In the future, we'll be able to use their wearables data, all sort of healthcare information, and provide that into a health data platform that's provided by Lavita in a secure end-to-end encrypted way. And then be able to use that to essentially, with the medical AI engine that's built in as a secure LLM-based chatbot in the app, to gain information insight about their data. And as they do that, of course, they understand more about their health And that provides more information and more data for them to use, and essentially going through this flywheel. So over time, it actually increases awareness of individuals understanding and tracking their health and being able to improve their wellness and health over time. I'm going to spend a few slides just explaining on the technology, and then I go talk more about the app itself. I think it's very important to actually understand a little bit, with a little more technical detail, what the technology does, because ultimately it's very different from anything that's out there. It's very, very unique, and that's why we're very excited about this prospect and this growth so far. So again, everything is based on privacy-preserving platform that we have built. So a decentralized infrastructure that's using the Theta Edge cloud, a secure data storage and secure computing, again, means end-to-end encryption for data, and building a medical AI engine that can use the data. This is all built on a secure key management system. What does secure key management system do is essentially provide the full control to the users. So it's only the users that are able to decrypt the data when they want. When the data is decrypted, it's only on their device, or like a mobile device, or if you're using your desktop. And it's only the users that keep essentially the keys. So Lavita itself as a company does not have access to the keys. So that's why actually one of the experiences that we have seen with the users, if they lose their password, or for some reason lose their device, actually it's not possible for them to recover the data. And that's by design, because it's supposed to be that nobody other than the users can access the data. So because of those security features, in that case, they actually have to go and connect their data again in the case that they lose their password and so on. And of course, all of this based on Lavita subchain, a TNT20 chain that's all based on the security provided by the Theta network, and it's a great partner for us along the way. So we talked a little bit about this, that essentially data is secure at rest. This is when it's on your device. It's secure in transit, which means that when you're using the LLM chatbot, large language model chatbot, the data is fully encrypted when it's going to the GPU essentially for analysis. And it's also secure in use, meaning that once it's being analyzed in the GPU, it's completely inside what is called a confidential virtual machine. So this technology, confidential virtual machine, this is a screenshot from Microsoft Azure, which is one of our partners. This is actually a very new technology. It's less than 12 months old, so literally came out in October of last year. So in terms of providing really the latest technology for privacy-preserving computation, bringing the latest compatibility with GPUs and LLMs to the users, really cutting-edge technology, and at the same time providing it in such a way that's accessible to users at very low, essentially free cost. So we're very excited that actually we are bringing the latest infrastructure, H100 GPUs, for the users to be able to take advantage of. So when you're using Lavita, essentially you're using NVIDIA H100 Tensor Core GPUs. This is one of the most capable GPU infrastructure out there. Actually, I think in our community, Theta community, I don't know how many H100s we have. Does anybody know that number? 2? Don't know, okay. Well, we have many GPUs, but H100s are definitely a little more expensive and not as easy to access. But again, at Lavita, what we want to do for sure is to bring the latest technology to the users and provide it essentially for the benefit of the individual users. And based on that, of course, I described this key management system without going into too much details that provides this secure computing architecture for the users to be able to access this. What I would like to highlight is, of course, based on all this secure computing and secure storage infrastructure, what we're doing is also something important, which is right up here. A big part of health is actually accessing the data. I don't know how many of you have had the experience that you've gone to the hospital, maybe you had a procedure, maybe you had some test taken, and then it was so painful to actually get the results back. And once you get the results back, if you wanted to ask opinion from a second doctor, or if you wanted to share with a friend or a family member, or if you just wanted to check something that you've taken a year ago, it's such a hard problem and such a hard process to access your data and access your information from anywhere that you want, from your mobile device at a later point in time, and be able to securely share it with others. So what we have done at Lavita is actually create completely secure gateways to these, what is called electronic health record providers. So you can seamlessly, when you download the Lavita app, you can seamlessly connect with your hospital. Let's say, you're using, I'm using the example from the United States, using, for example, Stanford Hospital System. So you can seamlessly connect with them, be able to authenticate, get your data. The data will be fully secured, fully end-to-end encrypted, and you can access it at any time that you want. On top of that, you can have all of your data in one place. So let's say if you have visited multiple hospitals, multiple doctors, that they use different electronic health record systems, instead of having to access different systems each time, you can have all of them in one place and provide that as a context for your secure companion, the AI, the medical AI engine, to be able to understand everything that you want to know about your health and your wellness. So that's a very important part of the system that's also we've been working on for a long time to provide to the users. So all of this, where does it bring us? So talking a little bit about the technology, hopefully that was to give you a little more context of why it's useful. So today, we're very proud that now we have launched Lavita across mobile platform and app store, so both on Android and Apple Store. So you can go and search for Lavita, either the website, access the web platform, or on the mobile device, download the app, and it's all one fully integrated. You can sign on with your email or like a Google account or Apple ID and be able to use it from anywhere in the world. So for the web platform, platform.lavita.ai, that's the URL to access it. And then, of course, for the mobile app that we have launched in Q2. So the mobile app, actually, maybe just again by show of hands, how many people may have had the chance to download or use it? Beautiful, beautiful. So it's definitely gaining traction. We have only launched a few months ago, so still very young and very early days. But what we're very excited to talk about is actually the growth that we've been seeing. So this is a tweet that actually Mitch retweeted yesterday, or X post, from one of our contributors and community members, Danny, who's based in South America, I believe, or Latin countries. So Lavita AI is actually now been installed more than 50,000 times since launch only a few months ago, a couple of months ago, literally. And it's already one of the top 10 apps, especially in the Latin-speaking countries. So we're very, very excited about the growth of the Lavita community because of the usage that it has for the users and the value it brings. And we think we're gonna be one of the top apps that's built on Theta, by Theta community members, but hopefully benefiting everybody, regardless if they're Theta member or even a crypto enthusiast, because health is a global matter, and then everybody's benefiting from understanding more about their wellness, about their health, and being able to improve that. So we're very excited for that. To give you a comparison, let me go back to the previous slide. So on the Google Android Play, essentially the App Store for Google, if you look at the category of health and fitness apps, right? So on the top, you can see, okay, these are the top ones. Perhaps you realize some of them. Maybe you use Teledoc. This was become very popular during COVID. Many people use it for telehealth appointments and so on. My chart is one that's very popular. So this is one provided by a company called Epic. It's a US-based company, but it has presence all over the globe. It essentially provides electronic health records. And this has been, a top, of course, app. What it does is, if your provider is part of their system, you can download the app and then provide your credentials and then access your, let's say, lab test result and so on. I don't know if you have used it. Actually, how many people do use MyChart? I don't know if it's as popular in Europe. A few people. I have to use it myself. There is no other choice. It's one of those situations that you're kind of subject to whatever your hospital provides. It's very clunky. It's almost as bad as having a paper and pen system. So the data is provided in a very, I would say, almost disorganized way, in the sense that it's very hard to understand how the data is organized. It's even harder to understand how you can interpret the data. So maybe the data is written in essentially a medical language that's maybe better understood by your provider, but then for you to understand what exactly it means, all these lab results. And there is literally zero AI intelligence. There is no AI integration in it whatsoever. I think that's by design, or maybe, it's very hard for them to integrate all these AI features. But let's say if you wanted to use that data to ask a simple question, what does it mean for my latest blood test? Of all these measurements that I've had, I want to know, of course, is something out of range? I want to know, what should I do? Should I change my nutrition? Should I change my exercise routine? Should I change other things? It's very hard. And what people end up usually doing is they just copy paste that data, they put it on a Google search or a ChatGPT, hence completely giving up their privacy, just to be able to understand a little bit about their health information and then use the latest AI technology on that. And it's completely broken. And that's the top app currently in the health category. So that's something that has to be changed, and that's what we're shooting for. So hopefully, in one of the future events not too far, we want Lavita to be up there, replacing MyChart as the top health app up there. And we're not that far, right? So it's like MyChart is more than 10 million downloads. We were 50,000, right? So we're not that far. It's only maybe a little bit of exponential growth. But as a matter of fact, what we see in the back end, so the screenshot from the tweet that had 50,000 doesn't, or on the App Store, on the user interface, doesn't update as real time. What we see in real time is that we already passed 100K. So we have 105,000 installs. And across many countries, as you can see, there are many people around the globe, Brazil, Portugal, many in Europe, Italy, Spain, in Asia, Indonesia, South Korea, even India, France, and of course many other countries, including US, North America, including Middle East, including Africa, many people that are already downloading and using Lavita app. So hopefully we'll get to that 10 million soon and be able to replace and provide this wonderful service to people globally. Yeah? Yeah, I wonder myself. I think, oh yeah, sure. So the question is, why is it so popular in Brazil? That's a great question. I think Theta in general is very popular in Brazil. Is that right? Yeah, Wes, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know if the live stream picked this up, but we had similar experience. We had a similar experience with Brazil being far outside. I mean, it's a very large country, but still it punched way above its weight class in the users in several of their apps. So I don't know if the crypto scene is just very popular, that they're early adopters or what, but interesting that we've seen the same.
Exactly. So, I mean, Theta is a very tight-knit community, and its community members are fantastic, and I think they care a lot about Theta and Theta-based projects, and that's why we've seen this kind of growth and participation. Do we have anybody from any of these countries in the room today? Brazil, Portugal, Italy, Spain, Indonesia, South Korea, we sure we have, right? There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, so thank you all, and great to have this essentially global participation. We're very excited. From the first day, we built Lavita to actually be not just multimodal in terms of you can have health records electronically, you can have imaging data, you can have written PDF data, but we've built it to be multilingual. So if you're using it, in Portuguese or Spanish or English or even Mandarin, it works. So that's what it's been designed for. Of course, we're improving it. The AI model is capable of working different languages, and it gets better and better over time. And of course, we're very excited about this prospect. Okay, a little bit clunky. Okay, so maybe talking a little bit about what's ahead of us, so that what we have achieved and what's ahead for Lavita. So how many of you have heard about AI agents? Wow, okay, that's amazing. So they're not just a buzzword, right? So obviously a lot of people talk about them, but it used to be that people talk about software as a service, or SaaS, right? So especially from the cloud revolution, which started in 2006 with AWS, Amazon Web Services, providing its cloud. Initially, it was internally used for its logistics network, then opened it up, and then startups that essentially started using it in a very elastic manner. So, the compute, the storage, everything was accessible to them at low cost. So essentially it started a whole new era of startups, because now you don't have to go and buy data servers. You don't have to go buy storage. Everything was essentially available to you on demand. So that the whole cloud revolution essentially enabled a whole slew of startups since 2006 and for the following decade. And that created this whole software as a service category of companies that have been, born, and there are a lot of startups that have grown to, billions of dollars in revenue and valuation. So what agentic AI or agents do is something very interesting, and it's kind of a next version of software as a service. They call it service as a software. So still SaaS for the acronym, but of a kind of a juxtaposition. And the idea is that AI agents, they provide not just one specific service or like one specific task, something that software as a service companies used to do, but they essentially provide a whole end-to-end service. So almost acting like as a human actor, as a human agent. So you can tell them, hey, I need to do a task. What task that could be, for example, it could be, hey, I need to make an appointment with a doctor, with a specialist. I need to collect all the relevant health data that I have from the past, maybe from my health records, maybe from some of my wearable data, maybe something that I have just written myself, for example, my family history. Provide all that information to the specialist, make an appointment, go see that specialist. Following that, make a follow-up, see what, new routine or medication or things that I have to follow. And essentially, at the end, maybe also do the insurance-related work for that. So all of this, it's like multiple tasks, right? And it's not just one task that you can just tell a software as a service company can do, but what agentic AI or these AI agents will be able to do is provide a service as a software, you provide end-to-end tasks. Almost you have a buddy, a butler, or a administrative person helping you to do all these tasks, right? So that's one of the important things that we have on the roadmap for Lavita. So once we are getting the Lavita app to the hands of many users, as we mentioned, we have a goal of reaching 10 million users in not too distant future. We want to enable the users be able to use Lavita as essentially their health agent, to be able to ask them to do all these things, again, in a completely secure and privacy-preserving manner, and essentially be your buddy, administrative help, companion with all your health and wellness needs in such a way that's completely seamless and integrated for the users. We're very excited about that. So that's medical AI agents. We talked about data integration. So not just electronic health records, we want to include other type of data, particularly related to wearables. So if you're, of course, wearing a smart watch, other type of smart wearables, be able to completely and seamlessly integrate that data and use that again in your benefit in such a way that's both secure and informative. And lastly, what we call research platforms. So this is also very interesting. This is where you want to be able to access the latest medical research, which is, of course, always changing. There's always new medication that are approved by FDAs in US and globally. There are always new research that has been done in terms of new biomedical research, new kind of health-related applications, all these things. And for users to be able to access that and be able to understand what it means, particularly in their own context. So let's say I'm a person, I recently had something related to diabetes. So I have to take care of myself regarding to that. I want to know what is the latest research related to that. I want to know what are the latest medications available to that. So I have a research platform that completely does this for me, and does it in such a way that's almost seamless and doesn't create overhead through medical agents that do it as essentially as a service, as a software. So this is what we're very excited about, and we'll be starting in second half of this year. So it's actually already started, and we'll be going into the next year as we get Lavita in hands of more users. We talked about how Lavita Health Data Platform is integrated with EHR, electronic health record companies. So we're excited. We're already integrated with 1,600 hospitals. These are majority in the US. So of course, that's been our starting point, just because we're based in US. But of course, this is a completely global ambition. So in our next phase also, we're working to integrate with as many hospitals. Of course, this has to be based on regulatory frameworks in different regions, but it's with many hospitals and many providers around the globe. And that's also part of our next phase of growth. And then maybe one quick note about some other points that I'm sure the community is excited or interested to learn more about. So we have talked about, of course, the technology, the multimodal use of data, the confidential virtual machines. That's the basis of the privacy-preserving technology that we have. We talked about the mobile app. There are two other points that I know that community cares a lot about, and we want to briefly mention it today, but we have more announcement about coming in the near future. So one is about Lavita tokens, right? So how many people actually here hold Lavita tokens one way or the other? Either stake it, they just have it airdrop. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that support. We are thrilled and we are honored by so many members that have Lavita tokens, that have been holding it, staking it for quite some time. And of course, it's very important that how we're going to make sure that the community members benefit from that. So our mantra is that Lavita stakeholders are essentially shareholders of Lavita. So in whichever form that Lavita is going to create value, especially financial value, that's going to be shared by Lavita token holders, essentially Lavita shareholders. And we're working on that, right? It's not perhaps has been as straightforward as just, trading tokens. Obviously, Lavita is a TNT20 token, so in terms of the avenues, exchanges that it can be exchanged on, there are, considerations from that perspective. But we're also considering other options, right? So as we're growing the Lavita user base, as we're growing the Lavita usage across the globe, we do have plan for monetization of essentially the technology and this platform. So we will have versions of the app and the platform that are paid version. This is going to be for some of the premium features. So you can imagine that, there are mobile apps that If you're using like the paid version of ChatGPT, maybe depending on where you are and in around the globe, you pay anything from a few dollars to a few tens of dollars for the premium version of that. And of course, that brings a lot of features. We envision something similar with Lavita, that over time, especially for the users that are not crypto users, but just general audience and general users, and want to use the premium feature of the app, we will have some monetization. And once we have that economics, I'll talk about the business model a little bit. That economic, what is our promise is that economic will come back to the Lavita stakeholders and Lavita token holders. So that's our promise. And then lastly, what we have talked about is we really want to position Lavita as a premier brand of individual health. So we really want to be as a brand known about how it's used by users around the globe. And because of that, we will doing much more content marketing. As part of that, we will starting a podcast series that will be talking and interviewing with a lot of knowledge or KOLs, key opinion leaders and knowledgeable persons in the field about the future of health, about the future of AI application in health, about the future of data privacy, all these things. And we'll be starting that, from the end of this month. So we'll have more announcement about that coming also soon. So that hopefully will give more visibility and more awareness of Lavita to the global audience. And just to briefly talk about the business model, since we talked about monetization. So there are a few ways that we are considering. I mentioned the subscription model. So we have, a premium version in future. So for people that are either don't use Lavita tokens, or let's put it this way, if you use Lavita tokens, if you're staking Lavita tokens, you'll be able to access the app freely. But if you don't use Lavita tokens or just are not a crypto native person, you may be just using fiat payment to access the premium features. And in that case, all that monetization, again, we want to channel back to the Lavita token holders. And then there are other models that are also over medium term that we will pursue. So one is API model. In that case, it's not just based on the mobile app, but we have essentially an API that will be accessible to outside developers for the secure platform that we have. And then based on API calls that we'll have a business model of providing that service to developers. And lastly, data aggregation and resale. I know this sounds a little actually scary, but what we have promised from day one is that everything we'll do is, of course, fully privacy preserving. So for the users that they decide, I want to essentially monetize my data with their informed consent so they know exactly what they're doing and what they're providing their data for. Let's say you want to participate in a study about, some health condition. Maybe I have diabetes myself and I want to participate in a study that benefits all diabetes patients globally. So I provide my data, it will be in a fully encrypted way and secure way, but then by participating in such a study, I'll be able to monetize my data and benefit from that. So that's another way for the users also to get benefit, and something that we have in the medium term for our users to be able to access. So with that, I have a couple of slides about medical evaluation sphere, but maybe since we're a little short on time, perhaps I want to stop and see if there are any questions. This is, again, first time that we are live at EuroCon. So for us, it's super exciting to participate. I myself was amazed to see how Lavita is just used by people globally. It's just such a refreshing and reminder of how important this community is and how global the audience is. And for us, it just makes us even more excited to continue to work on this. So with that, I would love to answer if there are any questions, and thank you again for hosting us. Thank you for the amazing EuroCon team for putting this amazing event together. It's just wonderful to have everyone here in one room. And again, hopefully we'll see you again in more of these type of events and with more exciting news. Thank you.
with someone that has a cognitive issue such as Alzheimer's, what type of wearables are there available that would be suitable that they wouldn't be able to fiddle with, remove, destroy?
Very good question. So obviously, you know, depending on specific conditions, right? So you're talking about, you know, if somebody, for example, has mild cognitive impairment, so something that can be a little more easily, you know, managed and tracked. Obviously, you know, Alzheimer, that kind of thing has a big spectrum. So depending on where on the progressive timeline of that, you know, condition one person is, there are different ways for intervention and monitoring, that sort of thing. For us, the goal is, ultimately, is we want to do two things. We want to bring the latest technology to the users. So whether it being about the AI or whether about new wearables, whether it being about new research that has been done about a particular condition, we want to bring that to the users. So essentially make access to the latest knowledge, healthcare, and perhaps medical devices easier for users globally. That's number one. And number two is to do it in such a way that ensures data privacy and data control by individuals. So you're not just accessing the latest technology at the expense of your data privacy, but you're actually doing it while you're ensuring your data privacy. So that's our second pillar. So with these two in mind, we will of course work to ensure that we bring more and more type of technologies that's to become accessible to users. And again, particularly for what condition is, we'll work to bring the most relevant, reliable wearable devices that can track and monitor and can be integrated into Lavita platform, depending on the condition.
Hi there. So about the resale of data, of course you said it was going to be encrypted, but my question was, are the users who are going to accept to resell the data, are they going to know who they resell it to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's, by the way, something that already exists today. So there are in order of 10,000 clinical trials that's ongoing on any given time. A lot of these clinical trials, depending on what stages and what type of research being done, some of them are drug focused. Let's say somebody unfortunately has a cancer or some type of condition, and they participate in a clinical trial to get treatment with some experimental drug, such that then, of course, that drug is being examined whether it's efficacious for improving that condition. But that's one class of clinical trials. There are many other clinical trials that are more what is called real-world evidence. So let's say even after a drug is approved, which usually maybe takes anything from 7-8 years time frame, then for the following 10-15 years after the drug is approved and available to the global user, FDA in the US and other countries, as well as the drug companies, want to monitor what is usually the long-term effects of a particular drug or a particular kind of a treatment. And then for that, there are a lot of users that are actually willing to participate. Let's say if there's a new, for example, GLP-1 drugs, that's both related to diabetes, but also help with weight loss. Currently, there aren't that many long-term studies that track the use of these type of medications and treatment over, let's say, 20 years. And there are people that, for a variety of reasons, either because their own personal goal or because they just care about particular condition and a particular community, they want to participate in that type of study. That, hey, I'm using GLP-based treatment myself. I want to contribute to a long-term study. What are the benefits or potentially harms of such treatments for the broader users, right? So what Lavita will do is essentially plug into these existing kind of clinical trials related to real-world evidence, and then enable individuals to be able to identify those and with their informed consent to participate in those type of studies. And those type of studies is already very much regulated. So, in terms of, again, there's an informed consent, you know exactly your data is being used, you know exactly who are, essentially the researchers and, clinical practitioners that are using it, and ultimately how the data is being published. So all of that is very much regulated and transparent. It's a matter of actually just connecting, having a platform to securely connect potential contributors to those type of studies. Thank you, great question.
In one slide, you showed us that you are working already with about 1,600 hospitals in the US. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. Integrated with. Yeah.
I'm wondering how you can expand the usage of Lavita, for example, in Germany, and if the hospitals will agree to give you that you have access to the interface or giving you the data. Especially here in Germany, for example, we are very old-fashioned. So it's very, very hard to get data via emails, for example, from the doctors, the hospitals, and so on. No? So I'm interested how are you going to solve this problem?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. I was actually very curious about that myself. So I was looking at, there's a breakdown in this bar here, others. Where does Germany stand, right? So surprisingly, not that many. I think it's less than 100 users that currently have access to Lavita in Germany. So I think you're pointing to a very important issue, which is ultimately we're dealing with something that's not just a technology matter, but it's also a matter of maybe culture, maybe obviously different regulations and kind of different approach to healthcare. And that's going to be very different country to country, even maybe within one country, from one area to the other. So for us, it's of course very important to provide this to as many people and many audiences, as many as geographies that we can. From a technology perspective, from day one, we have built it that way. So again, the AI models are multilingual. You can upload let's say a PDF that's written in German and be able to interpret that with the AI model. From the hospital integration perspective, that we're doing country by country. Our approach has been, first of all, we started in the US because that's where we're based. So that was the first obvious choice. And then second, we're going after countries that are, I would say, just easier in terms of the logistics and execution, because we, of course, we want to move fast. Turns out, the next set of countries that are easier in terms of integration, there are many in Asia. There are some in Latin America. Europe in particular, because of course, very specific data privacy regulation. And again, like you said, maybe there's also some cultural and historical kind of legacy reasons. It is a little bit harder. So we have to prioritize, but our goal is to provide Lavita services everywhere and anywhere. And when we say we want to be the top on one in the chart, we want to be that in every country. That's our goal. So, Bill Gates famously had this kind of mantra or goal for when he started Windows, where he started Microsoft, when it was a startup, just maybe less than 100 people, that his goal at the time, nobody knew what his computer, like people didn't have the right. And then his goal was, I want to put a PC in every home in every country. And then today, that's a reality, right? And of course, looking now, maybe it's always obvious, but then 30, 40 years ago, that was not obvious. And that was a goal that was set for what he did with the company. And of course, it's the second largest company in the world now, right? So that's our goal also with Lavita. We want to make it accessible in every single country for every single user. And with that ambition, of course, will take time, but we will work on it.
Thank you, Ali. So we have to close the presentation. Many thanks, Ali, for the presentation. It's been great. Thank you for the presentation, Ali. You're having like a great impact on Theta. It's like it's since years now, and it's really nice to have you here. But now we are heading to our lunch break. So we have time until 3 o'clock. Our lunch is on the right, so you can get there, help yourself, and enjoy the lunch. See you at 3.